Am I the asshole for having our wedding in a cave, which means my sister can't come? My fiance and I came here for more opinions. We are getting married this year and our venue is in a cave system. We are both active explorers and this is our dream venue. How it works is you will get married in the opening of the cave, then go down a set of stairs that bring you to a big open area in the cave. You then have the option to just stay in the area or do a cave tour. It is extremely cool, and guests can't get into areas they are not supposed to due to gates that basically will sound an alarm if you get near them. Also, they only allow a total of 15 guests, so a small wedding. Overall, it is a very unique situation, and we really want to do this. We understand that when inviting people, if they are not comfortable, they will not attend. It is a unique experience, and I'm not pressuring anyone to go. Everyone we have invited seem to be cool about it. My mother is super excited. I invited my sister, and she told me she can't do it, that her claustrophobia would make it impossible. I told her that is okay, and if she wants to see it, we can record it or Zoom the wedding. I don't want her uncomfortable. This is where the argument started. She is pissed we would do a wedding that she can't attend. She called me a huge jerk that I won't change the wedding. I told her that this is our dream wedding and we are not changing it. I'm getting messages from people not invited that I am also a huge jerk. Am I the asshole?
What?
And this is why I'm on my motherfucking business. Fair warning, next time you go to a restaurant, you go to the motherfucking bar, don't be kiki with the bartender, because you might gonna have to save that bitch one day. 3 bitches had walked in here, whatever the case may be. I don't know if that was one red flag, because why wasn't it 2? The bar, minding my business, talking to the bartender, whatever she, asked me, how was my day, and what do I do, whatever, small talk. So, these bitches get there, sitting down, whatever. First thing she say is ID. The bitches give out their ID. They start ordering. She like, oh, y'all want a drink? The bartender, oh, y'all want a drink? One of the bitches like, yeah, I want a drink. So the bitch get the drinks together for them or whatever the case may be. Now they ordering food. Girl, fast forward this fucking story, though. It's time for these bitches to pay, okay? And that bill came up to like $250. Because my nosy ass, I'm close. You know how the bar is, bitch. It's me. I'm close. I'm looking. And I ain't gonna lie, I whispered to the bartender, like, how much their bill is? Because they arguing. So she told me. And one of the bitches was like, oh, I only had a Long Island and only ordered me a little burger and fries. Bitch, you ordered mad shit. You had 3 Long Islands. You had a strawberry daiquiri. Bitch, yeah. And you had that combo, that appetizer combo, bitch. You ordered them tacos 2 times. You had quesadilla and you had pasta, bitch. You was ordering. And you gonna put $20 down? Bitch, I'm not paying nothing. You kept asking for refill. And it's not even happy hour. So the bitch like, well, I'm going to pay for my food only and I'm leaving. This bitch slaps $20 on the counter and dip. So now I'm looking like, mind you, the bartender getting shaky because she just had, some young people, I guess, walk out on her the other day. And she got in trouble for that. So today she was hoping that didn't happen. Y'all, why the fuck? I told y'all the first bitch left. Why the 2 bitches was like, well, I'm not paying because she didn't even pay the full amount. And she's lying. She didn't just order this food. She ordered mad shit. Y'all, I'm so messy. I'm asking the bartender, like, you want me to go by the door so they won't leave? Because one bitch already left. So you want me to go hold the door? She like, no, because I don't want you to have nothing to do. I was like, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck, bitch. You want me to help you or not? Because I feel like we like this now, bitch. We've been tight since I came in here. So do you want me to help you or not, y'all? And she was my mom. Now, the girls is trying to leave. And before these bitches can leave, I'm right by the door. You're not going nowhere. Bro, why this bitch dead call me a scunny? What the fuck is a scunny? I ain't never heard of that shit in my life. Like, bitch, I ain't gonna lie. She kind of fucked my head up with that. Cause bitch, scunny? You should getting loud. Cause y'all know me, man. I know my mouth. Like, we getting loud. All I know is the manager come over here. When he get in between us, he already know what's going on. Because apparently the bartender already must have told him what's going on. I don't know. All of a sudden, the 2 bitches that was in the front, they gonna come over here and they all over here. They all in front of the door. And I head back and forth like, what the fuck? The whole time the motherfucking cops was outside. Like, suddenly when the cops pull up, they come in and ask the story. They want to hear what's going on. Why the bartender is telling the cops what's going on. You know the bitch that walked away with the $20? Why the fuck that bitch popped back up?
how I found out I was pregnant at 19 years old. So at the time I was living in Florida, and that was obviously way far away from where I am from, Illinois. And it was around September, at the end of September, because I found out October 1st. I have always had really bad nausea, so I never really thought anything of it at first. So I was prescribed Zofran before I even found out I was pregnant. Zofran is basically just a medication for nausea, and you actually get prescribed it when you're pregnant if you need it. So it was kind of cool. So like I said, it was the end of September, and I was just really nauseous every day. Like, I didn't want to get up or do anything because I just felt sick doing anything and everything. I would say the nausea lasted about a week, like the really bad nausea, and I was popping that Zofran like every single day. The thing about me though is I would always be nauseous, but I would never throw up. So I knew something was definitely wrong when I actually threw up. So I was actually sitting outside a restaurant, and I was in the car throwing up in a bag because I was so sick. And I texted my mom, and I was like, Mom, like, I don't know what's going on. And she was like, well, are you pregnant? And I was like, no, because I hadn't missed my period. So I was like, no, I'm not pregnant. What the heck? Once my mom brought up the whole pregnant thing, it wouldn't leave my head. So I ended up buying some pregnancy tests, and I took them. I took about 4, and they were all negative. So I was like, okay, sick, in the clear. And I actually had a friend that just had a baby recently, so I decided to get her input on it, and she was like, well, did you miss your period yet? And I was like, well, no. And she was like, well, if you didn't miss your period yet, like, it's most likely going to be negative because pregnancy tests aren't accurate unless, you know, you missed your period. Once she said that, I was kind of like, oh, okay, well, you know, I had 2 period apps because they were never the same for some reason. One of them said that my missed period was going to be tomorrow, that I'd start my period, and the other one said my missed period was going to be in 2 days. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just do one tomorrow, and I'll do one in 2 days and see which one's right. So the next day said it was my missed period, took a test, it was negative. So I was like, okay, I'll wait till the next day. Next day, missed period, it was supposed to be the day of my missed period, took the test, positive as can be. At that point, I was honestly confused because I didn't even know about that whole day of your missed period, whatever, all that stuff. I didn't know. So I ended up texting my same friend that had the baby, and I was like, this is 2 lines, right? And she's like, oh my god, that is so positive. And I was like, what the fuck? I honestly had no idea what to think. I ended up taking 4 more tests after that. I took this when I was getting into the shower, so I literally had no expectations that it was going to be positive. I was just honestly so shocked about the whole day of missed period, day after missed period testing. Now I'm 20 years old with a 10-month-old.
How I managed to move out for university as an Asian girl with strict parents. Okay, for reference, I used to live in Bristol and I have moved to London for university. The difference between the 2 cities is like 2 to 3 hours. So I'm going to start off by saying this was not an easy process for me because obviously everyone has different concepts of like strict parents. And considering how my parents used to be when I was in secondary school, when I was like 15, 16, so in year 11, which is like our version of high school, compared to how my parents are now and the type of freedom I guess I have is very, very different. So when I got into 6th form and I was studying my A-levels to get into uni, so in like year 12, I had already made up my mind that I was not going to go to university in Bristol. Bristol doesn't have any like bad universities. They have Bristol Uni, which is like really, really good. And then they had UWE, which was good as well. But from the beginning, I had already decided I'm not studying here. In my family, like growing up, education has been like a really, really big thing. And I had made the decision that I wanted to come to London to do my studies. So for a little bit of context, I wasn't born here. I'm a first generation immigrants, and I moved to the UK when I was 2 years old, and I was like brought up here. Before I moved to Bristol, I used to live in London. Guys, my makeup just started peeling because of the skincare I put, so I'm gonna have to redo that. This is so inconvenient because I'm trying to tell you a story. I didn't see it as a big deal going back because even when I lived in Bristol, we'd come to London to visit a lot because my dad's work was in London. So when the time came around and we had to apply for universities we wanted to go to, all of my picks were out of Bristol. I told my parents this. I would continuously, whenever we'd have this conversation about education and school, I told them, by the way, I'm not studying in Bristol. And my parents thought I was kidding. One of the reasons was because my dad's friend's daughter she lived and studied in Bristol. So he was like, why can't you do that? I was like, we're two different people. She may have wanted to study here, she may have not. I don't. That's why. So, needless to say, this wasn't something that I hid from my parents. Whenever this topic came up, I was very, very clear with my thoughts. And so then came around year 13, and I remember this night so vividly. Year 13 for me, like, alhamdulillah, I've been like an academically gifted kid growing up. So my parents never really had anything to worry about when it came to my grades and stuff. I just felt burnt out. Year 13 was probably one of the worst years for specific reasons that I have ever experienced. I just put too much on my plate. I was almost working full-time hours, studying full-time. I was going through stages of a degree apprenticeship, going through stages of like applying through UCAS because I had applied to a private university, and then there was this whole shabam with that. I was like applying on their scholars program. I was going through different scholarships, and at that same time I was going through stages of a summer internship that I really wanted. So you see, like, everything was all over the place. So I remember one day I came back from a full day of college and I just went up to my room to take a nap because honestly I was so drained. If you know me in real life, like, everyone knows that I have extreme like trouble with sleeping. So for me to like sit down and take this nap was a godsend. I needed to sleep. So my mum comes into my room and she has a thing, like, when she knocks, she doesn't wait for me to like say come in, she would just come in. So I'm like half asleep and she comes in and she goes, wake up, the dad wants to talk to you. I can't remember if she called me or she knocked on the door, but either way she told me your father wants to speak to you, and my heart dropped. Even though I was half asleep, I was like, oh my goodness, like I'm quite scared of my dad. So I was like, oh, what have I done? Like, I don't do anything except like go to work, go to sixth form. I barely even had time for my friends. So I was very confused. I woke up from my nap. I went downstairs to the kitchen first to speak to my mum just to get a gist of what I was heading into in the living room. I'm moody because I just woke up when I didn't want to. I'm exhausted, I'm stressed. Like, it's just, I was very overwhelmed that year, to say the least. So I go to my mum and I'm like, what's up? Like, what does he need to talk to me about? What's going on? Is it school related, work related, home related? What is it? And she goes to me, how could you apply to unis outside of Bristol? Like, how dare you? I stood there like, what do you mean? My mother started saying how, you know how we're all here, how could you apply to all your universities like outside of Bristol? Because obviously once you send your applications through, you cannot apply to more universities and stuff. Like, switching is it's a longer process. It's like this whole thing. So she's like, once you send your UCAS application through, it's a done deal. And I'd done that like ages ago. But I'd been repeatedly telling them like, yeah, I'm not going to be studying in Bristol. I don't want to. It's not something like that is really for me. I knew in my gut I wanted to move back to London. So I'm already mad because they're making me seem like I had hidden this from them, etc, etc. So I go into my living room and face my father, who then, long story short, repeated the same thing, like, how could you do that? Just like the whole, everyone studies here. I was like, Father, this is my choice. Like, I don't want to study here. And I would say, a very stubborn child, but I'm not unreasonable. This is not something I did out of spite. This is something I did in, like, how do I say this? To benefit my own future, because opportunities in London, considering that I had decided I wanted to go into like finance, economics, business, blah, 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 are much bigger in London. Whereas I think Bristol is more known for like engineering and stuff. I just believed it'd be more beneficial for me to go there. I was very calculated with my decision. It wasn't a foolish thing out of the blue that I just woke up one day, yeah, I'm not studying here. But this whole, like, I'm not going to call it an argument, I would say like a heated discussion, because obviously they were hell-bent on what they wanted to say. I was like, I don't want to talk about this because there's clearly like views are not being taken into consideration. But at the same time, part of me also felt like I was going to take a gap year. And this is very important in the story as well. I had spoken to my parents about this as well, about taking a gap year and stuff and everything I had planned. When it comes to like academics, because it's been such a big thing in my family, I'm very open about it to my mum. So I'd obviously told her about the whole gap year situation, blah, blah, blah. They kept saying, could you take a gap year and reapply again in Bristol? And that really bothered me. Because in my eyes, I was working so hard for my education, for everything I had like planned in my head. Like, and to them, it was just like, oh, just change it. And that really did bother me, but I ended up getting over that. And then came end of year 13, and I remember when everyone had booked their accommodations and they had like signed up for SFE, I'd done none of it. In my gut, I knew I wanted to take a gap year. I was so mentally exhausted of life. I kind of knew, okay, I've learned how the whole application process goes, because obviously if I took a gap year, if I wanted to get into uni, I'd need to reapply again. So I'd already like taught myself all of that. Then alhamdulillah, I got the internship that I wanted, and conveniently enough, which I love, 2 girls from my college, Sharon and Suad, love them to bits, they also were doing the same internship. When we all received it, I assumed that it might be like a virtual thing. It required us to live in London for a month that summer, which was, I think, the whole of July. I was like to my parents, yeah, I got in, and they were like very proud and stuff. So they said, okay, you can go to London and live a month in London. Doing that and living with my friends for a month and having that time here really helped ease my parents' nerves about knowing that I wanted to move out for like 4 years for uni. See guys, if you are applying to internships and stuff, honestly do it with your friends, because that was, I want to say, one of the best months of my life. I can make a whole other video about that internship, about what we did, about what the stages were and everything, but long story short, it was absolutely amazing. Came back from that internship and like just spent summer with my parents, and I decided I wanted to take a gap year. And that year was just like my break from education, and I got a job as a beauty consultant part-time because I just wanted to like save up some money as well, because I knew the next year I'm getting back into education. I wanted to go to uni. So I saved up money. I met amazing people. One of my friends reverted. She got married. I met girls that honestly have my whole heart. It was a very good year. And then I reapplied to university, and I feel like having that extra gap year with my parents helped them come to terms with the fact that I wanted to move. Like even to this day, guys, like dad, he's like, I miss having you in the house so much. And he'll literally be like, I'll do anything, just come back and live with us. But I know like I made the decision to move here and study here, and now I just have to, well, live with it. But obviously I do go visit my parents. Life is very different. I look a bit crazy right now. But all in all, guys, if you are a girl trying to move out who hasn't had anyone do it before her in her family, speak to your parents about it, whichever parent you're closer to. Try and get them adjusted to the idea of you leaving, but also explain where you're coming from, because at the end of the day, your future is in your hands. Like, as much as my parents wanted me to stay, it's me who's going to be studying the degree for the next 3-4 years. So I had to make my position clear to them about how I felt, of where I was going. The amount of conversations I've had to have with like sitting them down and telling them, hey, these are the benefits of me going to London for ABCD I'm studying. This is what will happen if I stay in Bristol. I just gave them pros upon pros about London. And at the end, your girl is living in London. So yeah, guys, moving out is a very big thing. So do not take the decision lightly. And I hope all my girls who see this and do want to move out for their education start talking to their parents, or maybe if they have an older sibling, and inshallah you get to move out and have that experience as well.
My mother has lost her fucking mind. My whole fucking family is crazy. I've dealt with a lot of death and grief in my life, and like obviously so is my family. So I feel like we just don't go about things the way that we fucking should. For example, I get a text from my mother 2 days ago that my aunt is like dying. It's my great aunt. She's really old, but whatever. The text literally said from my mother, I hate to bother you girls with bad news, so I didn't want to tell you earlier, but call her Jessica. Jessica is now in hospice. I was like, first of all, I have the family group chat muted, so I didn't even see this till like way later in the day. I'm like, Mom, why the fuck did you just send me a text message? Jessica's been down bad for 6 fucking months, and you just decided, I'm really just like not gonna tell them. To be fair, I get it. She doesn't want to like bother us with bad news, because we did have a summer every time I answered the fucking phone, someone else was gone, and I was like, oh, forget this. But like, how are you just gonna send a text like that? You're not even gonna like call me? That's already pretty bad and like low-key traumatizing. And then I get a text from my cousin the next day and said, Jessica done died. She done died. And I got a text from my mother saying, Jessica's on the other side. Other side? Other side? I'm like, why can't we just be normal? We're so unserious about things that are actually pretty fucking serious. I don't know. I feel like that's just kind of what happens when you deal with death and grief. You're probably like, no, bitch, that's really fucking weird. Then it gets even worse. I added my mother to my group FaceTime with me and Sissy, which is like mistake number one, because I forgot that my mom just loves to talk about like depressing fucking things. And my mom was like, okay, I didn't want to tell you girls this, but like, I think I'm just gonna tell you. She's like, your distant relative didn't want to be here anymore. I go, what the fuck do you mean didn't want to be here anymore? She goes, he's in the psych ward. I go, okay, lovely. I go, Mom, why are you telling me? She's like, oh, I know you hate bad news. I can never share bad news with you. I go, no, it's because you used to call me 24/7 and tell me about a random man who I've never fucking met had cancer. That's why I don't allow her to really tell me bad news anymore. If I allowed her to like give me bad news all the time, she would be telling me about the mailman who doesn't have a ball on him anymore. She's like, lost one of his fucking balls. I don't know what it is. I feel like it has to do with like getting older and like age, but she loves to just fucking be the barrier of bad news. So immediately I'm like, okay, well, is everything okay? She's like, yeah, no, everything's fine. I just wanted to call you and update you. I was like, okay, this is horrible. No, and I know these are heavy fucking topics to be like laughing and joking about, but like, I don't know. I just feel like I've dealt with a lot of death and grief in my life where at this point it's just like, I'm so numb to it, I'm sensitized to fucking all of it that I can't even get over the way that my mother says things. Because every time I'm like, did you really have to fucking say it like that, bitch?
My prom last year was kind of a nightmare. Prom time is already kind of stressful for me because obviously I have an active role in it because I have to do a lot of the planning as class president. So the Saturday of prom starts off pretty hectic. I am there all morning at the venue setting things up. After that, I was so ready to just go home and spend my time looking beautiful for pictures. I felt so beautiful in my dress. I went over to Daniel's and we took some pictures. So far, so good. Everything starts going downhill when we head to dinner. On our way to the restaurant, Daniel gets pulled over and I literally start crying because I've never encountered a cop like this before in my life. It's not even like I would be the one getting in trouble or anything. I was just sitting there in the passenger seat sobbing. This doesn't even turn out being serious. Daniel just walks away with a warning, but the cop looks at me so concerned and is like, over to Daniel, please make sure you take her to a nice dinner and let her calm down. After that whole debacle, we make it to the restaurant. It's literally my favorite restaurant. I always go there for any event because I love it so much. We get escorted to this table that's in like the very back secluded area of the restaurant. We ordered our food and we realized that things were taking so long. Like, yes, the restaurant was busy, so we didn't really have a problem with it, but we were like, this is getting a little suspicious. It had been like an hour. Neither of us are very confrontational, so we were afraid to ask, but we were like, oh my gosh, we need to like get something done because we're gonna be late to this dance even though we came early. So we asked and they're super apologetic, but they forgot our order and I was just like considering going without dinner at that point. We get our food and then we go to the dance. We're a little late, but it's fine because we're with all our friends. The music is good. The decorations are beautiful. We're having a great time dancing to Katy Perry, and then I hear the one sound that you do not want to hear when you're wearing a beautiful dress, just the sound of fabric ripping. I love my boyfriend, but bless his soul, he is so clumsy. He had stepped on the end of my dress and I just had a massive hole right in the middle. I actually just started sobbing on the spot because this is the most expensive dress that I've ever worn and probably ever will wear, at least until my wedding. Luckily, my mom was chaperoning and she's like the craftiest person on earth, so she was able to help me fix it just at least for the rest of the night, but I was so on edge. After that, we actually did salvage the night and it ended up being really fun. I cried 2 times at junior prom, but I still walked away from the night thinking it was awesome.
This is from the AITA subreddit and is titled, Am I the Astronaut for telling my twin sister she will never fit in with us? I, 29 female, have 4 siblings. Mark, 33 male, Josh, 31 male, Eva, 29 female, and Tony, 26 male. Me and Eva are fraternal twins. Our mother was a stay-at-home mom, but she was emotionally absent. Growing up, our father was very hard on us. He wanted his first son to be a doctor, so Mark had to work all the time. He had Josh learn violin at 4 years old and made him play for hours. Tony had to be a lawyer. I had the chance to be a beautiful kid, and I participated in beauty pageants starting at 3 years old. Eva was free of this because she wasn't beautiful, and my father didn't think a woman could do much anyway. He sounds like a peach. She always had liberty and could do whatever she wanted without pressure on her shoulders. She could have friends, had no care about her grades, and didn't have to work her ass off every day. We're not proud of it, but we tended to exclude her since she was slacking off while we were working so hard. She was also problematic as a teen. She skipped class, hung around with a bad crowd, and drank. She even disappeared for a week without notice when we were 15, stating after that she wanted to get away with her boyfriend for a road trip while I wasn't even allowed to leave the house for a night because my parents wanted to make sure I did my work and would only eat what I was allowed to. Eva would throw tantrums, saying she was neglected and no one would care if she disappeared. I was enraged with her because she never realized the chance that she had, and we only grew apart from that point. After high school, I went far away and started working as a makeup artist. I eloped at 26 with Eli, 27 male, and never looked back. Last month, our father passed away, and my siblings and I went to the family home for the funeral. We stayed for 3 weeks and reconnected a lot. Mark had a breakdown at 23 from all the pressure and barely recovered. He's now happier, got a job as a tech in a lab, is married, and has 2 little kids. Josh stopped violin and is a drummer and piano teacher, and Tony is a public defender. Eva chose to be a social worker. It was a bit weird with Eva since we hadn't seen each other for years and gave up contact too. She once again tried to dismiss what we went through, saying that she was as abused as us, even though that is nowhere near true. One evening, she completely flipped out on us, calling us assholes and saying that we were like our father and excluded her. She kept going on about our parents. They never took an interest in her, neither did we, and that she went through hell thinking she was worthless. Mark started to cry, so I took Eva out and lashed her, saying she was the asshole for being jealous of our misery, and that she will never fit in with us because she never got abused, and it was insane of her to claim that she had. She left that night and didn't apologize to any of us. When I went home, I cried a lot and told everything to my husband, expecting him to support me, but he said that I should be the one to call and apologize to my sister, so am I the astronaut? Top comment here, your sister disappeared at 15 for a week and no one noticed? That's severely abusive. Not that it's a competition, but it sounds like your strict father focused on kids he felt worthy and ignored her because, well, that's the message any kid would get from this behavior, that she's worthless, nothing, not worth the effort, invisible. You and your siblings may have felt the pressure of success, but she was ignored entirely. This isn't an enviable position in the family. It's horrendous. You and your siblings are continuing to abuse her by minimizing her abuse and alienating her. If you don't admire your father, then stop replicating his behavior.
But yeah, I'm gonna be real with y'all. My first online boyfriend, I was literally I think 13 or 14 when we started dating. Okay, so the relationship lasted for 2 days. His name was Connor, and yes, he was. He was dating my friend, and me and Connor was we like this besties. Yes, I was that girl best friend, and he was dating my friend Anna. Did I mention this is all happening on Kick? Connor was his pictures he sent was he was a little white man with freckles, ginger hair. It was those girl best friends. I was rooting for him and Anna to break up. So a situation arose, and the situation was Connor was mad at Anna because Anna went and said I love you. I have to remind y'all, Anna was possibly my age, I think also 13, naive little me. You know what? I'm oh, Anna won't say I love you. I think it's just she's not the right one. Don't worry. And I'm I will say I love you now. They broke up. And I like to say this, I did ask Anna, yeah, since y'all break up, can I be with Connor, right? Anna said, no problem. Yeah, she didn't care. So I told Connor, I love you. And then right after that, he asked me, I only started dating the day after him and Anna broke up. My first boyfriend. Also, Connor was he would text me yo, it still hurts me and Anna. And I'm no, don't let that hurt you. Think about us. He texted Anna and said, oh yeah, I love you. Did Anna finally say I love you to him? Why? Bro broke up with me the next the next hour after she said I love you. Y'all, I was genuinely so hurt because it's how are you gonna break up with me? After he broke up with me, he went back dating Anna. What? And the thing is, how Anna gonna get back together with him after you gave me permission to be with him? That don't make no type of sense. To me, I was that was the most biggest betrayal. Even though, I'm the one that was basically plotting to take her boyfriend, and I did. And she just took him back. But still, that still broke my heart, because how you my friend, you took him back. Soon, all my prayers were answered, y'all. I kid you not. This is my first heartbreak. So I was praying for them to break up. Manifesting it. The words are powerful. Like I said, a week later, this one of the people in our group chat named Cody, right? Cody did not like Connor and found out Connor is a catfish. So honestly, I would like to give y'all side information. Connor was like, said he was 17. Already, that was already a red flag, because why is a 17-year-old trying to talk to 13 and 12-year-olds and getting mad at a 13-year-old for not saying I love you? We found out, Connor is literally a catfish. The real guy, like the real photo of the person they were using. Oh, wait, before I continue talking, can y'all look at this contour? Do y'all see how nice this contour is? Anywho, Cody went to, and then stretch his picture. Connor is literally a cheerleader, and like he was cheerleading in a professional cheer squad, and the real Connor, like the real guy, is literally like 22 years old. Hello. But why that hurt me more? I wanted to break up, but I didn't want to know he was a catfish. I deadass wanted them to break up so bad, and it happened. But I didn't want it to be like that.